We're going to start on our backs today on the floor. This has been Back Care Month, taking back our back. And so we're going to go through several of the practices because part of the intention for this month was creating a toolkit that we could use to help our back when it is crabby, or to help our back maintain a sense of stability, flexibility, strength, and ease. I like ease a whole bunch. So we start on our back and we come to constructive rest posture. We're looking for the point where our feet rest on the floor in such a way that the thigh muscles are not engaged and the abdominal muscles are not engaged. There's a sweet spot. So if the feet are too far away, the abdominals are going to kick in. And if they're too close in, it's going to be the quadriceps. So we're looking for that sweet spot and we settle here. And we're going to do our breathing practice in constructive rest today. So as always, we begin with our breath. And we notice the breath as it moves in and out of our body. There is nothing to change here. It is simply to become aware. And as we breathe in, we bring our attention to our spine and notice perhaps that the heart lifts and the spine lifts just a little bit. And then when we breathe out, our spine settles closer to the mat. So this is a passive release for the back. If the back is having challenges and resting on the back feels fine, this is 15 minutes a day, especially if we're not feeling awesome on the back. So toolkit member number 1 is constructive rest posture with breath. Here's our second member of our toolkit. It's the pelvic tilts. So we roll down toward the feet, rolling across the tailbone. We'll feel the belly begin to engage here, right? The chin is coming toward the heart, and there's space underneath the waist. And then we're going to flatten the waist. Pelvis tilts up a wee bit. Chin tips away. We'll feel a little push in our feet here. So on the next in-breath, we're going to roll toward the tailbone and lift the waist, noticing the feet pull a little bit toward the torso. The next out breath is tilts the pelvis up slightly, chin tips away. So now let's follow our breath and just practice tilting up and down. And as I'm doing this, I'm looking out my window when I tilt back, when I flatten my waist, and there's big wind gusts moving the oak trees. So the oak trees are practicing with us today. And then we're going to bring that to a pause. That's number 2. That's our number 2 practice in our toolkit. Now we're going to walk our feet together. The feet are going to be, the insteps are touching here. The knees are connected. And we're just rocking right and left. And we're not going too far because we're just waking the spine up here. This is a massage for the hips. This is also a massage for the sacrum. That's that triangular shaped configuration of bones in the middle of the pelvis. So we're rocking right and left. And it's slow. And we allow ourselves the grace of not going too far. This isn't a big twist. This is a hello to the low back, to the sacrum. Now we're going to pause. I'm looking out my window. There's a squirrel hanging over the gutter looking into the yoga room. So the squirrels are doing yoga today also. Let's take our feet as wide as the mat. So we've done constructive rest posture. We've done pelvic tilts. We've done the gentle rocking right and left. Now we come to windshield wipers. That's a little bit bigger action, right? Though we're not aiming to get our knees to the floor. And we're inviting the head to follow the spine. So when the knees go to the left, the head turns to the left. When the knees go to the right, the head naturally turns to the right. There's nothing we have to do to make that happen. It's just a natural extension of the spinal twist. The next time we're on the left side, we're going to bring the right knee toward the left calf. We're going to feel a nice stretch in the hip flexor. So when this part of our body is tight, it can pull the torso forward, which puts a lot of strain on the organs in the front of the body. And it also puts strain in the back of the body. And so we're just pausing here with that knee aimed toward the calf. For some people, they can actually take their knee all the way to the ankle. But today we're just saying hello to a simple practice that allows us to stretch in the hip flexor. So we can build our own practice. Today we're doing a 45-minute practice or so, but any of these done for 5 minutes can be really helpful. So now we're going to come back to center. We take the slow roll to the other side, and now we're taking that left knee toward the right calf. And you may notice from one side to the other how different the hip flexors are. And we're breathing here. And then we're going to come back to center. One of the other things that really helps our low back is when we're lifting our legs in toward our heart or our belly, when we press into the low back, it makes it easier on the low back to lift the legs. So pressing into the low back, we're going to draw both knees in to the heart, and we're going to circle around the low back. Little circles. And then we switch directions. And then the feet are going to come back to the mat. One of the flows that we did for back care is for hips. And we're going to start by extending the left leg long. Press into the low back to draw the right knee in. We're hugging here. Then we release the left arm to open and we take the right leg to the right side. Then we bring the left hand to the outside of the right leg, release the right arm, draw the leg across the body, come back to center, draw the knee in, and then extend the knee to the sky. Extend the full leg to the sky, then releasing this leg. It can either go to the floor fully extended, or we can bend the knee and replace it on the floor. Then we're going to slide it out. Press into the low back on an out breath, and now we draw the left leg in. We're going to breathe out as the knee comes in. When we open the leg to the left, the right arm releases and we're breathing in. We cross the body by bringing the right hand to hold the leg, and then we come back across the body. We're going to come to center, breathe in on the out breath, hug the leg toward the heart. And then on the next in breath, extend the leg to the sky and release it to the floor. We're going to go through that again using our breath. So we begin by breathing in, press the low back into the mat. This is the out breath. The in breath, we open. The out breath, we cross the body. The in breath to center. The out breath for a hug. The in breath to the sky. And release to the mat. Switching sides, breathe in on the out breath, press the low back in to draw the leg up for a hug. The next in breath is opening. The next out breath is crossing the body. The next in breath brings us to center. The out breath gives us another hug. And the in breath takes the foot to the sky, releasing that leg back to the mat. We're going to bring both feet to stand again. The knees bend, constructive rest. We're going to take our block now, and we're going to do our hip flexor stretch, followed by our piriformis stretch. So the hip flexors are where the legs attach to the torso. The piriformis is on the flip side, and it's that little tight muscle in the glutes. So we're going to begin by walking our feet a little bit closer to our sits bones. And really remember, come as close as is comfortable or easy for your body. There's no force or strain here. That's counterproductive for us. We connect with the inner edges of our feet. So as we press up, as we prepare to lift our pelvis, we're pressing into the feet first. The pelvis is going to rise off the mat. The block slides underneath, and we scoot it onto that sacrum, the triangular shaped bone that's in the center of the pelvis. And we make sure that we feel stable on this block as we draw. Let's start by drawing in the left leg, slide the right leg long, flex the foot, flex each foot so the toes are coming back toward the knees, and we're pressing through the heel. So this is another member of the toolkit. And it's recommended at least 1 to 2 minutes. They say 72.2 seconds to really get the fascia to release. So if you're in a posture like this, you're at home, you're going, how long is a minute? Usually we do about 10 breath cycles in a minute, maybe 12. So if we count in and out as 1, we'll get a good sense of what a minute is as we count our way to 10. Since I've been talking, I'm guessing we're probably already there. So we're going to slide that long leg to standing. We're going to release this foot. Pause for a moment, observing, ooh, that feels different, right to left. Make sure that block is well organized under the pelvis. And now we're going to switch legs. So we draw this leg in. That would be the right leg. Flex the foot. And then extend the left leg. Flex the foot. And notice, golly, does this feel the same as the other side? Does it feel different? Is it tighter? Does it feel like it has more space or length available, or more stretch, more comfort, or less? Or about the same? Keep those feet flexed. Now we're going to slide that left foot up, release the right foot to the mat. Make sure that block is still in a comfortable position. And we're going to pause here. So when we're doing the leg stretches, we're working the hip flexors. When we do this posture, we're relaxing the piriformis, which is on the back side of the glutes. So we're giving it a passive stretch here. We'll be here for about a minute. We're going to prepare to come out of this posture. So maybe the feet come a little bit closer again toward the glutes. Then we're going to press into the inner edges of the feet. So when we press into the inner edges of the feet, we're activating the inner and the center hamstrings more than the outer hamstring. Usually we have a lot of more availability in the outer hamstrings because we overuse them. We're looking for the inner hamstrings here. So we're going to press into the inner edges of the feet to lift up, slide the block out. Hold the bridge pose for 3 breaths. Keep those inner edges of the feet anchored. And then we're slowly going to lower one section of the spine at a time to the floor. When we get to the floor, it might feel good to do that gentle rocking right and left. And now we're going to roll to one side and we're going to come to standing, and we're going to do our Sunbird on the chair today. Sunbird also looks like pointer dog on hands and knees. We're going to use the chair today. So come on over, roll to one side, take your time coming up. And then we're going to come to standing. And we're going to bring a chair into play. And we're going to want to have a block or two near the chair. For the second part of this standing practice. So developing good abdominal support really does help the back. This is Sunbird. And we're doing it on a chair because it helps with our balance and our strength. And it also makes it a little easier if the knees are feeling crabby. So we start by coming to mountain. And we're going to sweep our arms up and fold to the chair. So we're standing maybe 2 feet, 1 or 2 feet away from the seat of the chair. We're going to extend that left leg long. We're coming onto the ball mound of the foot. We're pausing here. Breathe in. And now we're going to bring that leg up any amount. And the key here is to keep the hips parallel to the floor. So for a lot of us, it feels better to turn the hip out. We want to keep the hip rotated parallel to the floor. This may be enough. If you'd like a little more, left leg, right hand. So we're bringing that right arm to rest on the back of the chair, thumb to sky. And we're going to breathe here. The standing knee, you may want to soften the standing knee just a little bit. And imagine practicing keeping that hip on the left side parallel to the floor. So while this is working hips, inner thighs, standing leg, notice what's happening in the abdominals. There's a lot of work going on there too. We're going to release and bring the hand to the chair, bring the foot to the floor, sweep the arms up, hands to heart center, pause for a moment, and maybe circle the wrist on the left hand. It might be a little tight. Other direction. Sweeping up. We're going to fold again. Hand to chair. This time we're extending that right leg back, coming onto the ball mound of the foot. Notice where the hip is. And one of the ways we can notice where our hip is by checking our foot. On this side, I'm weighted on the inside of my foot, on the ball mound, under the big toe. I want to be able to feel the ball mound of the baby toe too. That allows my hip to rotate. So we want a full expression of the ball mound of the foot. That's where the toes meet the foot. We want that whole expanse to be present in our posture. We're going to come forward now and lift that back leg. Engage the abdominals. In the standing leg, imagine lifting the quadricep, the thigh muscle. Engage it by contracting it. Keep the breath moving. So when I lifted into this posture, I noticed that I naturally want to turn my right hip open. So I am really endeavoring to keep my pelvis parallel to the floor. Now, we're going to exchange hands, and it's the left hand. I was trying to figure out how to do the right leg and the right hand. It's not the same. Right leg, left hand. Thumb to sky here, and we're going to breathe. And maybe there's a little soft bend in the standing leg, a softness in the knees. They're not locked out. And notice everything that engages to make this posture possible. And then we're going to release the hand, release the foot, fold toward the chair, then sweep the arms up and bring the hands to heart center. And now we're going to do the forward fold on the chair. And so grab a block. I also am taking my towel in for comfort if I need it. We're going to start about 2 feet away from the seat of the chair. Forward folds are so excellent for the back, but a lot of times forward folds don't always feel great for a lot of people, especially if the hamstrings are tight, and most people have tight hamstrings. So we're going to float the arms up. We're going to bring our hands to the edges of the chair. So I'm standing maybe 1.5 feet away from the chair. I'm going to fold, lifting my sits bones. I'm going to fold to the chair. And I'm bringing a block to bear. So if bringing the head to the chair is too much information in the hamstrings, use a block or a blanket, because we're going to be here for a few moments, several breath cycles actually, to allow the low back to feel a nice stretch. And if your hamstrings are singing and you're noticing that they're talking to you from right behind the knee or right up in the sits bones, take your block just a little bit higher, because we don't want to stretch out the tendons. We're looking for the musculature in the hamstring, not the tendons, the plug-in points. And now we're going to do one more thing. Might need a little more height here. We're going to bring our hands to the back of the chair, the top of the chair, and we're going to go forward again, bringing our head toward our resting the head on the block or blanket. And we're looking for a nice release between the shoulder blades. So this is another form of a forward fold with a focus on the thoracic part, the upper back. So we did the low back, mid back, and now we're in the upper back. And we'll take a couple more breaths here. And then we're going to slide our hands to the seat of the chair. Come up to parallel. So that was an inversion. Our head was lower than our heart. So we're going to pump our toes up and down. Just lift the toes up and down. That helps restore blood flow. And if there's any feeling of dizziness or whatever, give yourself a few breath cycles to stabilize. And then we're going to bend the knee. We're scooting our hips back like we're sitting in the chair. Arms are going to float up shoulder height. Press into the feet. Come to standing, and hands come to heart center. Going to scoot the chair out of the way, and we're going to come back to the floor with our block. And now we're going to do our sacral reset. So we've built our toolkit with tilts and rocks, windshield wipers, our psoas stretches, and our core work. Now we're going to come to the sacrum. This uses the block. And if we have time, we'll do the strap work too. So come onto your backs and bring your block with. We're going to be using the block on all its heights. So we're going to do the longest edge. We're going to do the medium edge and the shortest. So we're coming onto our backs, and we're going to start with the widest edge. So we're going to take the block above the knees, between our thighs. This is going to take our feet probably about as wide as the mat. The action here will be squeezing the block while activating the outer edges of the feet. So we're squeezing in, but we're pressing with the outer edges of the feet. So get the feeling of that, squeezing the block so the inner edges of the feet lighten up a little bit. Maybe they lift up a little bit. And then we're going to relax. So we're going to do that for a few breath cycles. So join me. Settle first. And now we squeeze the block and press into the outer edges of the feet. We'll do 3 breath cycles here. 2 and 3. And then we release and relax. Keep the block where it is. Breathe about 3 times here. And now we're going to engage again. Outer edges of the feet press, the block gets squeezed. 3, 2, and last breath. And relax. We'll do 1 more of those. Get ready, set. Outer edges press and we squeeze the block. 3, 2, 1. We take the block out. We're going to turn it sideways now. Bring it to the same spot, not on the knees, above the knees, closer to the groins. You'll notice by placing it here, the feet come about sits bone width apart. So this is our hip width distance. Again, it's the outer edges of the feet are what presses in this posture while we squeeze the block. We're going to squeeze And breathe 3 times. Join me. Press and squeeze. 3, 2, and 1. Relax and breathe normally here. We're going to activate that posture again. Outer edges of the feet press. We squeeze the block. 3, 2, and 1. Pause again. One more time. Join me, won't you? Here we go. Press and squeeze. Outer edge, squeezing in. And last breath, best breath. Block comes out. Now we turn it to the lowest notch. Take it back, same position. And now the feet come pretty much to touching, right? So when we're here, we're going to use the whole foot to press. So join me as we press into the feet to squeeze the block. By now, you're probably feeling this in that sacral area. Relax. Breathe gently and easily here. So what we're doing is we're strengthening the connections in the sacrum. They can go out of place, and we're strengthening the musculature. Stretching the sacrum does not help. We want to strengthen it. We're going to do that breath cycle again. The whole foot presses as we squeeze the block. One more big, beautiful breath here. Then we relax. One more time. We're going to connect with the whole foot. Each foot presses fully. Squeeze the block. 3, 2, and last breath, best breath. And remove the block. Bring the soles of the feet together, coming to Baddha Konasana. And this stretch is probably going to feel really good because there was a lot of action happening all the way up and down the legs. And before we enter our time of Shavasana, I'm going to ask you to find a circle, a spiral, rock and roll. Maybe it's just moving the knees right and left. Maybe it's drawing the legs in and circling the low back. Find your best closing movement. And then we release back to the mat and find our way into Shavasana. Gently lift the corners of your mouth. Today's closing thought is from Thich Nhat Hanh. You are what you want to become. Why search anymore? You are a wonderful manifestation. The whole universe has come together to make your existence possible. There is nothing that is not you. We close our practice today by opening our arms wide to gather all the blessings that already exist, and we draw them in appreciation and gratitude into our hearts. And together we all say, Namaste.